Hello. We're going to begin a brand new story. It's called The Black Pearl, and it's written by Scott Odell. It's possible you recognize the name Scott Odell. He also wrote the book The Island of the Blue Dolphins, and that's a fun, famous, popular book. If you've never read The Island of the Blue Dolphins, I recommend you go check that one out. So we are going to read The Black Pearl. We're going to read chapter 1 in just a minute. Let's go ahead and talk very briefly. So the main character is a boy named Ramone, and he lives in La Paz, Mexico. And he is 16, but he's also remembering back to another event. Anyway, so Ramone is one of the main characters, and his father is in the story as well. Then we get another character, the Sevillano, and he is kind of one of the conflict characters. And then we have the Manta Diablo. Now, a manta ray, in English we would say manta ray, that's the animal, but in the story it's called the Manta Diablo. And in Spanish, Diablo is devil, so it's the manta ray devil. It's this huge devil-like creature. And one of the other major elements is the pearl of heaven. Ramone finds this pearl, and it's a beautiful, wonderful, perfect, valuable pearl. So we're going to learn all about what happens with the Sevillano, what happens with Manta Diablo, what happens with the pearl of heaven. So let's talk just a little more briefly about a pearl. A pearl is something that you can find in the ocean. There's a clam. It's a little creature that opens and closes like this. And what happens is these clams, and some of them are huge clams. I mean, some of them are just these monster beasts of clams. Okay. And what they do is, in order to keep their mouth, their body, their inner parts clean, any kind of dirt or dust or sand that comes in, they cover it up and it becomes a pearl. That's how you get a pearl. So the black pearl is a story of this pearl, which is going to be very, very valuable. And pearls come in different colors, different sizes and shapes. And so the more perfectly round it is and the type of color it gets, the more valuable. So if you would like a copy of the book, you may come into my classroom and get a copy. I'm glad to give you a copy. For now, with distance learning, we're going to go ahead and read together on the PDF. So let's go ahead and turn to chapter 1. I've posted the PDF to Google Classroom, so please follow along. Okay. Everyone who lives in our town of La Paz, or along the far coasts, or among the high mountains of Baja California, has heard of the Monte Diablo. There are many who live in the great world outside who have heard of him also, I am told. But of these thousands, only 2 have really seen him. And of the 2, only 1 is alive. I, Ramon Salazar. There are many people in the town of La Paz and in Baja California who say they have seen the Monte Diablo. Old men around the fires at night tell their grandsons of the meetings they have had with him. Mothers seek to frighten bad children by threatening to call from the deeps of the sea this fearsome giant. I am now 16, but when I was younger and did things I should not have done, my own mother— here's a picture of where Ramon lives in La Paz. My own mother said to me solemnly, "Ramon, if you do this thing again, I shall speak a word to the Monte Diablo." She told me that he was larger than the largest ship in the harbor of La Paz. His eyes were the color of ambergris and shaped like a sickle moon, and there were 7 of them. He had 7 rows of teeth in his mouth, each tooth as long as my father's Toledo knife. With these teeth, he would snap my bones like a stick. Mothers of my friends also threatened them with the Monte Diablo. He was a somewhat different monster from the one my mother knew, for he had more teeth or less, or eyes shaped in a different way, or only a single eye instead of 7. My grandfather was the most learned man in our town. He could read and use a pen and recite long poems right out of his memory. He had seen the Monte Diablo several times, both at night and in the daytime. So he said, and his descriptions were nearer the truth as I know it. Yet I say to you that of all the old men and the mothers, and even my grandfather, not one has been able to give a true picture of the Monte Diablo. It is possible that if Father Leonaris were living today, he could tell us the truth, for it was he who first saw him more than 100 years ago. That was the time when the Monte Diablo was a thing with claws and a forked tongue. It roamed our land back and forth, and where it went the crops would wither and die, and the air was foul. It was then that Father Leonaris commanded it in the name of God to disappear into the sea and remain there, which it obediently did. I do not know whether Father Leonaris saw it again or not, but I do know that while it lived there in the sea, it lost the claws and forked tongue and the evil smell. It became the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. Yes, beautiful. And still it was the same evil thing that Father Leonaris banished from our land many years ago. This is strange. It is strange also that long ago I did not believe in the Monte Diablo. When my mother would threaten me, I would quietly laugh to myself. Maybe I did not laugh, but surely I smiled, for how could such a monstrous creature be alive in the world? And if it were alive, how could my mother know it so well that she could speak a word and summon it to her side? My blood felt cold nonetheless, and my scalp tingled when she spoke, because I liked to feel this way. I wanted to believe the Monte Diablo was really alive somewhere, and that he would come when she called. Then I could see him and count his eyes and teeth, while my mother explained at the very last moment that I had promised to be good, so she did not want him to snap my bones after all. That was long ago. Now that I have seen the Monte Diablo, and struggled with him during the whole of one night and part of a day, in the waters of our Vermilion Sea, along with Gaspar Ruiz, the Sevillano, I wonder that I ever doubted. But before I speak about the time the 3 of us there on the quiet sea in a struggle of death, before I tell what I know about the Monte Diablo, I must tell about the Pearl of Heaven. Oh man, that is an exciting chapter 1. Okay, truly, really exciting. So let's talk about some of the major things that's going on here. So let's see if this is going to work. All right. Whoop, too far. Sorry. So here's our setting. We are down here in the city of La Paz in Baja California. You can see right here's Anaheim. And so Buena Park is right down the street from Anaheim. And I know some of you are from different parts of Mexico, but this is what we call Baja California. And La Paz is right here. And so you can see here's the bay, and here's what they might call the Vermilion Sea, the Gulf of California. All right, let's take a look at a manta ray and how it swims. Oops, is it not going to work? Here we go. We'll just watch this for a minute here. Where is it? There it is. That is a manta ray. So it's kind of got this bird-like motion as it flaps its wings. But it is a creature under the ocean. It's in the water. And it's huge. Beautiful, though. Very cool. All right. So you can look up the Monte Diablo or a manta ray later on your own time, but let us continue. So, what Ramone tells us is that it's the Monte Diablo is a monster. And his mother makes up these stories. She said his eyes is the color of ambergris. It's that white, gray, speckled kind of color. And it's in the shape of a sickle moon. This is a tool, and we call it a sickle. That's the name of the tool. And so we look at the moon, a sickle moon, you can see how they're similar shape. Okay. So his eyes are these tiny little slits with that grayish white color. Now, it did say that the Catholic pastor banished this devil monster, had a forked tongue, like a snake. It was this monster that would hunt people down. And the priest went, "Go to the ocean. You are banished. You are kicked out. You are sent away in the name of God." And the monster becomes a manta ray or the Monte Diablo. Now, some of these things don't make sense. 7 eyes. I don't know about that. A monster becoming a manta ray. I don't know about that. A manta ray living for 100 years. I don't know about that. So it's kind of like a ghost story. When mama says, "You better be good," boo, or "El Chupacabra is going to get you," right? Monster going to get you. Right. But Ramone, he kind of likes it. It says, "My blood felt cold and my scalp tingled." It's like a scared, and you can feel your hair on your head go, and you get cold, but you kind of like it. And Ramone kind of likes being scared in this way. It's like, "Oh, Monte Diablo." Scared, but kind of fun. All right. And now he says, before I tell you, I can't tell you yet about the Monte Diablo. We're not there in my story yet. But let me tell you first about the Pearl of Heaven. So we're going to learn about this great, big, beautiful pearl. All right, that's chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll continue on with another chapter later. Take care, ladies and gentlemen.